Hey, what's going on, everyone? Vega here for SerpentX Tech, and in this video, I want to go and talk a little bit more about Chirp Token and some of the differences between it and Helium, because a lot of people are saying it's like Helium, but it's really not. And there's some other advanced features that I get with Chirp and its ecosystem that I don't get with Helium, as well as some of the devices, because Helium has it very restricted, while Chirp has support for a lot of devices that we can use for IoT, LoRaWAN, so on and so forth. And what they're trying to do and the partners they're getting with is actually very interesting. Now, right off the bat on their website, they're telecommunications, right? So telecommunications, and we're helping be a part of that, right? This is a fairly new project. They've been operating over time behind the scenes, building throughout the bear market, trying to build out for transportation and logistics area, energy and renewable resources, property management. One that's got me very interested is the agricultural side, right? When I talked about farms and having different sensors and what that data could be used for, manufacturing is another sector, healthcare, and so many more. And when Helium only has certain devices that are compatible, Chirp has a lot of devices that are already preset or already compatible with their ecosystem or their devices or their network, but there's more to come in the future. And again, they partnered with people or organizations that I am keen to learn more about, like Peak, right? Who are working to tokenize real world assets. RWA is getting very popular. DPIN is getting very popular, decentralized physical infrastructure. And I believe Chainlink is working with Peak as well. So they all have very interesting aspects, and they're building on Sue. And Sue is a hot network right now. It's growing, but Chirp and Sue and Peak and Chainlink, they're saying all the right words for me, and I personally like it. But I also have a unit, my own Blackbird Chirp miner, in which I am participating. If you haven't seen that, check that out on the channel. But the token supply right now for Chirp is 300 million, whereas Helium has IoT, because there's 3 tokens, right? Whereas on Chirp, there's only 1 token. Whether it's IoT or mobile, they have 1 token. Helium originally started off with 1 token, and then it branched out to IoT and mobile and so on and so forth. So just that fact that it's 1 token, whether it's the IoT side or the LoRaWAN or the cellular side, mobile, it's all 1 token. So IoT has 200 billion token supply, mobile 200 billion, HNT or Helium 223 million. The miners at launcher project, obviously Helium was a lot larger with 10K. Right now, Chirp only has 500. Most of it's in the EU. We'll see that out on the map. Haven't seen too much here in the United States, but you could get involved and be one of the people to own a Blackbird miner if you jump in their Discord, which I'll have linked down in the description. Highest token price, obviously there's no token price right now because Chirp is still on the testnet. Again, building on Sue, doing all the right stuff, building throughout the bear market in preparation for the bull market. Devices that can be connected for Helium, it's only LoRaWAN, about 500 different devices. Does not support video or pictures, right? So high amounts of data is not supported. Helium also has dApps that can be built on the Helium network, but they're very limited to LoRaWAN ecosystem. And those devices are only used for certain ecosystems or use cases. Whereas Chirp can connect to all devices, already supported over 2,000 devices. And I vouch for that because I showed that on my dashboard when I was looking for other devices to connect to my Blackbird miner. So they already have support for 2K devices with 4 times what Helium has. And then dApp Builder's connectivity is not limited. So there are multiple use cases in which they can build out their dApps or software or whatever it might be to work alongside Chirp. Now, the IoT revenue stream is just LoRaWAN connectivity on the Helium side, whereas Chirp is agnostic, right? The IoT dashboard as well, it's all data driven, and you'll see in the dashboard, like where I have my Helium, the app, where I can see, pings or whatever's going on with my Helium devices. On Chirp, I'm getting a lot of good data, right? It depends on the sensors you're utilizing, but I'm getting good data. Now, then what you do with that data obviously will come later on. But this isn't as detailed as I would like it to be. We're just going to continue on. I just wanted to bring up the tokenomics aspect, the amount of devices right now, as well as some of the subtle differences between Helium and Chirp. There's even greater detail, which I'll go over in a future video. Using the Chirp Explorer, we're looking at a map of Berlin. right? And I want you to just take note of the coverage area on Berlin. And if we go to the Helium network, this is the same city. This is Berlin. I have to zoom very far out in order for you to see Berlin, but it's very faint right there. It doesn't just show up. So I already like Chirp's map a little bit better, but you can see all the various devices that are in here, and they're just taking up a small portion of a geographical area, right? And if we zoom in here, you can see, look, 23 devices in this one right here. 23 devices just in this hexagon, right? And then you can see 6, 5, 4, 1, so on and so forth. But if we look at Chirp and we zoom in on this guy, you're not going to believe it. To get this coverage, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 devices to get the coverage area over the almost the entirety of Berlin. Maybe the outskirts are a little bit not covered, but the center of Berlin is definitely covered. The main area of Berlin is definitely covered. Whereas you can see here with Helium, you're only covering that hexagon, right? There's some dead spots right here, right? So like in this area, there might be some dead spots. So the coverage area is already an improvement. On top of that, you don't need as many devices as you might need on Helium, right? So we might, in order to cover a certain geographical area, let's say a small farm with a few acres, let's say 10, 20 acres, we might only need one device to do that. Now, we're talking hundreds of acres. We might only need 3 or 4 devices to do that, whereas on Helium, we might need 10, 20 to 100 devices to properly get good coverage over that area. And obviously, when more people come online, right, more Helium miners come online, that's going to reduce our rewards. So we don't want to go too crazy and just everybody get a miner and, we're overlapping coverage. So it's becoming super redundant and super unnecessary. Even though the Chirp miners only use 5 watts of power, which isn't much at all, $10 a year at the highest electricity levels, it's going to provide better coverage. It requires less device to get a good coverage area. If you are, say, for example, you did want to get a miner and you are in Berlin, instead of putting it in Berlin, maybe you might have a family member, a friend, a business, or something that you can put one out here, right? And then you just expand the coverage area. So less devices to get more coverage compared to Helium. Your rewards, because there aren't as many miners, right, would be a lot higher. The more miners come online, the less rewards we get. And on top of that, the biggest one for me is the supported devices, right? It's the supported devices that I can connect. Now, I'm talking about, for example, if you paid attention to the channel, I got a door sensor, and then I got a thermometer that measures the humidity and the temperature and so on and so forth. And that data gets fed to the Chirp gateway or the Blackbird miner. And I can see all that data, which I'm going to pull up in the dashboard. Whereas I don't get to see that much data or detail as I would with Helium. I'm sure the team from Helium is trying to build and doing great things. They honestly, I have no qualms with Helium. I'm just saying us comparing Chirp to Helium is not accurate. They're two different things completely. And you can see some of the supported devices here. They got Bosch, Boat Officer, Decent Lab, Digital Meter, so on and so forth. But the beautiful thing is on Chirp, look at all the vendors. Like if I click add device, I choose LoRaWAN. They have all the names that we just read off, like Decent Lab, Bosch, that Helium supports, but so much more. It's absolutely crazy how many devices supported here. You select the submodel, the band, right? Because I'm in the US, so I'll be like 915. Put in the device EUI, the app key, and then you're good to go. But they also offer a section where we can add the device. We can add a device, right? And I'm talking to the team in Discord. Hey, if I had a device that isn't already in the presets, is it cool for me to add? Seems like it is. Maybe more device support will continue to come. That's what I've overheard so far. And I'm just impressed with the amount of devices that we can connect to this thing. And it's all like very, very data driven. I absolutely enjoy it. So here are some of the sensors here. I didn't want to show you exactly where I live, but if we click on one of these sensors, for example, this is a door sensor, right? If I move out of your way, this is exactly what you see. It's not much. It's just a basic door sensor. That's what it is. We can set a battery, right? We can see the alarm. The alarm is true or false. Door is open, true. Door is closed, false, right? We can see the gateway it's connected to. We can see the connectivity or the RSSI. the amount of receipts or like not transactions. Oh my goodness, I can't think today. But communications between the gateway and the device. So you can see a lot of data. There's even a device log. And if we look at my temperature sensor, we see, the humidity over time. And we can see the temperature over time. There's so many different things I can do with this or this data that is being provided to me. It's absolutely awesome to see. And if we go back to their main website, there's so many different devices that I want to connect. Some of them are a little bit pricey, I'm not going to lie, but it's absolutely awesome to see. I can't wait to get more devices. Matter of fact, one project idea is, when you go to, like, let's say there's a small agricultural development. We're talking about greenhouse setup. So not a big farm, but a small setup where they're, maybe they're growing tomatoes or whatever, and they have their water system, right? Where they have like a preset mixer, or the system has a bunch of valves on it, and it will automatically dispense XYZ to make sure that the water is where they want it to be to provide healthy, good food and nutrition to their plants. Well, each of those valves are controlled by the computer. Well, on those valves could be these sensors, which they already are, but they could be these sensors that are compatible with the Chirp gateway or the Blackbird miner. And then the device is just getting all that data. How much of XYZ chemical was dispensed? What's the pH level? What's the water level? What's the volume of water going through this valve? And all that information could be relayed back to a centralized system to where the farm or the people monitoring that farm can manage all that. What's the air temperature? What's the humidity? Is the O2 levels getting too low or too high, right? Because plants want carbon dioxide, not oxygen. Do we need to dispense some carbon dioxide into the ecosystem because this is an enclosed system and the fans are just dragging all that carbon dioxide out so the plants in that room have more oxygen? All these sensors can make things so much more efficient. That's why I'm excited about Chirp. And there's so much other details. There's so many other details that I haven't covered in this video that I will cover in the future, but I want to hear your thoughts. I just wanted to share this with you. It is not another Helium. It is not like Helium. They run similar aspects, right? There's LoRaWAN, there's IoT. I believe there's also like LTE or 4G connectivity or cellular connectivity, mobile, right? Let's just say mobile. But the partners that they're working with and the capabilities that they have and the support, the open support for a number of devices that could be integrated, anything from a residential environment to a enterprise or commercial environment, it's just absolutely one of the reasons why I like this project. However, I'll leave it up to you to make your decision. I just wanted to share all this with you. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and do me a favor on the way out. Hit that like button, make sure to get subscribed, hit the notification bell to stay up to date, as well as check out additional links in the description to help support the channel and what we do here. You just have yourself a wonderful day. Take care. I'll catch you next one.